Vietcong and the fighting styles of Vietcong and the North Vietnamese. When American soldiers landed in southern Vietnam in 1965, they had no idea what to expect. Vietnam was a vicious, brutal conflict fought in a land that few Americans could even identify on a map in 1965. Hundreds of thousands of American soldiers fought the Vietcong, whose guerrilla strategies, using small groups of fighters launching surprise attacks, were unlike anything the U.S. military had ever confronted. Because they were fighting on their own turf, using their own strategies, the communist forces remained strong. American soldiers were not well prepared, either physically or mentally, for the kind of fighting they encountered. When the United States troops went to Vietnam to fight Vietcong and the communist Northern Vietnamese, Americans had a lot of disadvantages. Not a lot of American troops knew the land and jungles that they were fighting in. It was also very hard for American troops to distinguish the common civilian of Vietnam and the Vietcong and Northern Vietnamese rebels who would try to kill them in the battlefield. Because of this, it was hard for American soldiers to distinguish between the South Vietnamese and North Vietnamese. It was often difficult for Americans to tell whether villagers were loyal to the South Vietnamese government or whether they supported the communists. This uncertainty caused some soldiers to treat villagers harshly, and even when the U.S. troops managed to clear a village of enemy agents, the villagers would help the Vietcong usually return within the short time. Most of the battles and fighting in Vietnam took place in dense jungles, dangerous rivers, and deadly marshes, where Vietcong and North Vietnamese rebels used guerrilla warfare tactics to surprise and kill American soldiers. The guerrilla fighting tactics used by the North Vietnamese included mines and metal spikes that were placed where American soldiers would either walk or fall into the death traps concealed below them. Mine locations would include being behind doors, under steps, in footpaths, under thresholds, in rubble, and at the bases of walls and fences near U.S. Army camps in Vietnam. Another mine-related trap was the cartridge trap set by the Northern Vietnamese in walking paths of American soldiers. This trap consisted of a bamboo slat, a cartridge, a piece of bamboo to hold the cartridge in place, a firing pin, and a wooden board. When an American soldier would step on the trap, the cartridge would explode and seriously injure the soldier's foot or leg. Along with explosive traps and mines, the Vietcong and North Vietnamese troops planted traps with steel and barbed spikes that American troops would step on so that it would injure the American soldier's foot or leg, slowing the unit of troops down or maybe even killing the unlucky soldier. The traps that you see now are replicas of the actual traps set by the North Vietnamese to injure or kill American soldiers. The North Vietnamese government took a number of steps to reduce the impact of the U.S. bombing. For example, they spread some industries out into the countryside and they built networks of tunnels and shelters to protect the people in the cities. The North Vietnamese also created war-related tunnels for Vietcong troops to hide in and fight from. The tunnels were also used to hold supplies and could shelter troops for nights on end. The Vietnam War was a brutal and bloody conflict that took the lives of more than 58,000 American soldiers and an estimated 2 million Vietnamese soldiers and civilians. In addition, air bombings, motor attacks, and gun battles destroyed the countless forests and farmlands, villages, and city neighborhoods in both North and South Vietnam.